What's the best toddler complaint you've ever gotten? Demanded to know how to say hola in Spanish, would not accept that hola was already Spanish. After a couple slices of pizza, 3-year-old bursts into tears and says, "My mouth wants more but my tummy doesn't." Me too. Kid. Me too. When my youngest was 3, he asked for a cheeseburger with no cheese. So I gave him a hamburger. Cue the meltdown. Which for him meant sitting in his chair sobbing as he stared at his food. He also once had a breakdown because he hates pickles and I had pickles on my burger. He had none on his. Conversely, he once mistook a bottle of buffalo sauce for ketchup and was surprised by the taste when he dipped his fries in it. He then refused ketchup and ate the whole meal using the buffalo sauce. He's never eaten buffalo sauce since. My toddler got mad that her poop came out in 2 pieces instead of 1. She accused my husband of cutting it while she wasn't looking. She knows about the poop knife. My daughter wanted to drink pure lemon juice and threw a fit when she was denied. I caved on the premise of natural consequences. 1 sip, and she vomited. She never bugged us about it again. My daughter had a complete existential breakdown one day when she found out that she was going to have to pee every day of her life. Overheard at a grocery store. Mom let her little boy pick out some ice cream. Kid chooses some sort of chocolate banana popsicle and mom says no. Kid starts crying. Mom says, "I thought you didn't like bananas." Kid immediately stops crying. Says, "Oh yeah," and picks something else. Grade A trust. Makes a decision which has consequences he doesn't understand. Gets told no. Gets rationally upset because it was a decision he was given to make. Gets told why the no. Accepts it, recognizing the wisdom he didn't yet have. Moves on. Good on him and good on the mom. She's doing it right and he's got a bright future as well as a bright mom. When my daughter was 3, I told her to stop trying to draw on the dog with crayons. She threw the crayon on the floor, looked me dead in the eye and yelled, "Daddy, you're ruining my life." Was sitting at the entrance of the play place at a nearly empty Chick-fil-A, IDK how, but there was barely anyone there, when a little boy probably walked up to me, pointed at my sunburned face and said the 4 words that haunt me to this day. "Your nose is wrong." Edit. A 3-year-old girl I babysit was sad that the squirrel outside didn't have a coat and became angry that I didn't have one on hand for him. My 6-year-old yelled, "I'm too tired to go to sleep," in a fit of delirium and rage. 5 You're old. Full stop. Me. I'm not that old, with a slight tone of indignation. How old do you think I am? Full stop. 5 The last number. My 4-year-old is a picky eater, so we typically give her whole milk to get more calories than her. Once I have her 1% milk because it came with her kid's meal. I didn't tell her it was any different. She takes a swig. I yawned with my mouth really wide and my little sister told my mum I was trying to eat her. My nephew had a breakdown and cried when his boot wouldn't fit on his head like a hat. Poor shoe design if you ask me. My daughter asked for strawberry ice cream from the grocery store when she was about 4. I bought it for her and when we got home and she had some after dinner, she started crying. I asked why and she said, "I wanted strawberry ice cream without bones." She didn't like the hard frozen pieces of strawberry in the ice cream that she picked out. I thought the idea of ice cream bones was funny. My legs are sparkling. Edit. Cousins 3 offers a goldfish to my bill. Bill. No. Thank you. 3. Offers another goldfish. Bill. No. No thank you. 3. Offers another goldfish. Bill. No thank you. Buddy. 3. Grandma. Bill. Won't share. Sharing is mandatory in both directions. I guess. My niece recently was upset about being served food in the little bowl and not the big bowl. When her food was moved from the little bowl to a big bowl for her, she had a meltdown. After a fair amount of crying, she was able to explain she didn't want the food from the little bowl placed into the big bowl. I suppose once in the little bowl the food was forever tainted. I worked at a preschool from this October to December as an assistant teacher. We had a playroom next to the classroom, and one day we decided to go in there to play. And there was a shelf with a lot of dinosaurs to choose from. A child came up to me and said he wanted to play with the dinos. I said okay. This child just sat on the floor and looked like he was having the crisis of his life. Then began to cry, and when I asked him what was wrong, "It's the wrong same." Took weeks to figure out he was referring to the apricot and peach yogurts. My boy cried when, after stuffing his sandwich in the VHS recorder, early 90s. There was no movie about sandwiches. My little sister, laying on her back, staring straight into the lamps. My eyes hurt. Then stop staring at the lamp. No. Is your sister a moth? Lol. My little brother, when he was 4, liked ice cream so much so that whenever he got one he'd be so delighted to eat it, but when he'd be about to finish it he'd begin sobbing that he didn't want to finish it as he'd have none left then. My wife woke the kids up and told them it was Monday, so they needed to get ready for school. Don't like Monday. Hate Monday. You're Monday. Directed at wife. Edit. This was from a 4-year-old. The amount of insanely funny, absurd things my kid has said to me when being woken up for school is incredible. And I always sympathize because neither of us is a morning person. Over the years, from kindergarten to 11th grade, I've heard, "Oh, so I can't go to school today. I have butt rabies. Oh, so I have squirrel flu." Which has become a running joke and what our family calls allergy problems. "Oh, so my retinas are broken. Oh, so the salmon overdosed me last night. The only cure is extra sleep. I actually let that one go. Oh, so mom, can I just, do today? I'm really not feeling it. Oh, so the sacrificial waterfall of Satan kept me up puking last night. Definitely allowed that one. She and I also have an agreement that if she goes a full grading period without missing, she gets a free day to miss. She is also allowed mental health days for her anxiety, but only because she doesn't take advantage. I've shared this one before, but it's golden. Toddler and I are in the truck for a 3-hour, mostly freeway trip. Toddler asks if she can have her window down. Begs. Says pretty please. Whines that she needs the window down. Answer is no. We're going 70 miles per hour for the next few hours. Thus begins the wailing. She cries. And cries. And cries. The window's not going down. I'm tuning her out. No problem. The music is on. I'm just driving and life is good. After probably 45 minutes of this, she slows down, gulps a few times, and in a tremulous voice asks, "Mommy, why am I crying?" I laughed so hard I nearly ran off the road. If you don't remember, I'm not telling you. Kid. My 2-year-old puts her hand in front of the dog's mouth and cries when he licks her. My daughter, about 5, threw a wadded up piece of paper at us and ran away. We opened it up and she had written, "Can I have a snake?" Full stop. Wife yelled no. "You may not," and my daughter then came back almost in tears to ask why not. She said, "I ate all of my dinner, so why can't I have one?" Wife asked what that had to do with snakes, at which point we realized she had misspelled snack. Also, my son put us in a sort of reverse timeout once when he got angry. This consisted of him going into his room and refusing to come out, leaving us in peace and quiet. He essentially played himself. 3-year-old Tyler says, "Uncle Tony, shave your whiskers." I say, "All of it?" He says, "No. Only the white ones." My 4-year-old brother told me my water is too soupy. I still haven't quite figured it out. The 3-year-old found a mitten on the ground and put it on. He asked where the other one was and I said I didn't know. He looked down and said, like it was a unique problem. But I have 2 hands. When my little sister was a toddler, she screamed she couldn't go to sleep because her pajamas were too spicy. She probably meant they were either too hot or too itchy. My daughter once said, I don't like it when you talk. Noted. When my nephew was 3 or 4, I found a cookie that he had stashed in a couch cushion. It was dry and gross and obviously had been there for a while. I immediately went and tossed it in the trash. My nephew saw this happen and immediately burst into tears. Full on snotting. Hysterical tears. Through his sobs he managed to choke out the words. You don't throw away cookies. My husband and I use this saying often. Asked if she could have one piece of candy. And I said yes. She then asked, can we compromise? And I replied that we didn't need to compromise because she was already getting exactly what she wanted. Child proceeds to throw a tantrum until I agree that we can compromise. I watched a friend's kid have a total breakdown because he wanted to have eaten ice cream. The thing was, he had ice cream. It was his dessert. And it was in a bowl in front of him. He could eat it. But the fact that he had to go through the mechanical motions of eating to get the later point in time where he had ice cream was really just too much for him to bear. Watching tiny humans grapple with cause and effect is fascinating. IDK if this is too gross. But when my son was 3, I'd say the bar for too gross when talking about toddlers is pretty high. Now that I've been working at home, I have a desk set up in my bedroom. Whenever I give my 3-year-old grief, he tells me to go back to work. My niece complained about her height. She said, how long before I'm as tall as mommy? I want cookies. She basically was wanting to reach the cookie jar by herself without having to ask. 2 kids. 2 stories. On my son's 5th birthday he was absolutely pissed. I asked him what was wrong and he said, I'm not 5. So I said, sure you are. It's your birthday and you were born 5 years ago and I'm not 5. He cut me off. Look at me. I'm the same as yesterday. He screamed at me to just see the truth for quite some time. It was bizarre honestly. Story 2. Me to my daughter. Check on the cookies. Look through the oven window. How are they doing? My daughter, 4, begins crying. I can't tell how they are because they don't have eyebrows. I can't tell how they feel. My 3-year-old was at first very calmly and matter of fact telling me she wanted the proteins from the top of the fridge. There is only cereal and crackers on top of the fridge. I keep saying what? Her calm demeanor quickly devolves into pure disdain for my stupidity. She eventually throws her hands up and gets her mom. She wanted the saltine crackers. My youngest got upset that the sun was setting and demanded his father make it rise back up in the sky. Wanting to put a diaper on for bed. Not wanting to take the underwear off to put the diaper on. My 3-year had a meltdown because he wasn't in our 5-year-old wedding photos. He said we didn't love him and that's why we didn't even invite him to our wedding. Because he wanted to go back to bed for a nap but didn't want to go alone, nor were we allowed to go with him. My 4-year-old is super into the following exchange. 4 years old. I don't want X. Me. Okay. Don't have X. 4 years old. But I want X. This morning the 6-year-old woke up and said to them, come on. We're gonna kung fu. I don't wanna kung fu. Okay. We loser. NOOO. I wanna kung fu. This isn't a miscomprehension issue. Either. 4's just. Well. 4's kinda an asshole about these things right now. We have a growth room in our lab with intense purple lightning where upon leaving everything looks green for 15-30 seconds. Once we were giving a tour to a class of 4th graders and showed them this phenomenon. Once it wore off, one kid exclaimed everything's back to normal. I hate normal. I want milk in my soup but I don't want it to be wet. They call that cheese. A story about a toddler complaint my older sister made to our oldest cousin. When they were both young, they were playing a game of Connect 4. And cousin won. He shouted, "I win." My sister, who adored him at the time, repeated it, "I win." Our cousin said, "No, I win." My sister repeated it. And so on and so forth. A kid asked for an envelope. So I gave her one. She started screaming and crying, "I want an envelope." She meant cantaloupe. For a while, our daughter kept talking about tentacles. You'd ask her what she wanted to do when she grew up and she would say, "I want to be a person who puts tentacles in things. Good tentacles. Not bad tentacles." Eventually we found out she meant chemicals. She wanted to be a chemist. Pointing to my boobs, crying, and asking why I can't feed him. Because I'm your babysitter and I'm 15. Edit: he didn't say why can't you feed me, but he was using his word for food and refused his bottle. I once asked a 1-year-old to share her snack with me. Common psych experiment. You give them the snacks first. Instead of using the prop. She walked across the lab to her mom and started to pull her mom's shirt down to share her boob. My son, age 2, when in a rage would shout, "No thank you." Other parents could see we had a handful. You stole me pee shoe. 6-year-old was falling behind during an afternoon walk back from the playground. Claimed it was so far his feet were bleeding into his socks faster than his body could absorb the blood. When I insisted he hurry, he said, "You go ahead. I have blazing speed and can catch you whenever I want." I had gone to pick up my son from daycare many moons ago. All the lights were off and I was concerned. Cause my kid was supposed to be here and it looked like the place was empty. I knocked on the door, anxiously waiting, and the daycare lady came to the door. Of course. The first words out of my mouth were, "Why are all the lights off?" And she told me that my kid had gotten an eyelash in his eye around 2 PM and had requested all the lights to be shut off while he worked through this. It was 5:30 PM. in the winter in upstate NY. So the whole house was pretty pitch black. I still laugh thinking about the whole daycare. My niece did not like that only one little piggy got roast beef. I had to do it again. But with only that line for all of them. My mom was babysitting a kid one time. And he wanted fish sticks for lunch. So, mom cooks the fish sticks. And then serves them to him. Only for him to lose his tea. He had a full-on screaming tantrum over the fish sticks. It took him a minute or two to calm down and explain. He wanted fish sticks that were wide, not long. Mom just turned them sideways and he lost his tea again, screaming it wasn't the same thing, and actually left the room and put himself into timeout. I ate the fish sticks so they didn't go to waste. 5 minutes later he comes out into the kitchen and asks for the fish sticks. Cue meltdown number 3 because I ate them. So, mom made some more of the exact same kind and he happily ate them. My niece, when she was 3, got upset because her ketchup was too spicy. So I told her to just eat her fries without the ketchup. She then cried because the fries weren't spicy enough without the ketchup. I was a restaurant server one night when a family came in. Normally, I'm not a fan of kids. But this one girl, like 5 or 6, broke the mold for me. There was a fire in her eyes. But she wasn't unruly. Just, in the moment. I walk up to the table after they finish a seafood platter. And I hear the parents loudly saying something they obviously want me to hear. No. Honey. They don't let you take the lobster shells home. I could feel invisible elbows jabbing me in the ribs with their glances. Before I open my mouth to back up their story, she huffs and says, "Well, can I at least keep the eyeballs?" And then proceeds to hold up a fork with the lobster's eyes impaled onto the ends of the outside prongs. Like a war chieftain with the head of an enemy. Adorable. My 2-year-old broke down because it was dinner time. Not lunchtime. Bonus. She crawled into my bed at 4 AM Christmas morning, crying that she wanted to color and I needed to get her a pen. Then fell asleep on my face. My daughter had the same problem many times, but we settled on a compromise. When it's dinner but she wants to call it lunch, she can call it lunch. It sounds simple, but it took serious negotiations. And she reminds us frequently that we've told her she can call it lunch even though she knows it's dinner. I chopped down my nephew's tree. It was in fact broccoli that I chopped up for dinner. I didn't hear the last of that one. He cried no end. I seem to remember that I had to go to the local supermarket to get another tree to replace it with because he said that I was evil. We had a full-on discussion with my daughter because we told her she was 2 and she was insisting on that she is 3. It ended up with us agreeing that she is 3 but asking her if she could possibly just blow out a candle that is number 2. She did it only to warn us she wants a 3 next time. Fine with us.